It all started in Richmond, Virginia in 1981 when 74 veterans from 14 states came together to compete in a variety of sports. But it soon became clear that the event was about more than just sports or disabled athletes. It was about camaraderie and the common bond of competition. It was the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, and that first event spawned a tradition that expanded by leaps and bounds. That brings us to tonight, to Spokane, Washington, home of the 29th National Veterans Wheelchair Games, co-presented by the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Paralyzed Veterans of America. It's good to have you with us, and thanks for joining us on Xable.com. I'm Steven Sandberg.
And I'm Ben Pearson. Steven, you talked about how the event has grown. Nearly 600 athletes coming from 45 states around the nation, Puerto Rico, Great Britain included, and events covering all sorts of sports. A traditional wheelchair basketball, you throw in power soccer, quad rugby, and then more obscure events, such as billiards, trap shooting. And the event has just really grown, and then today, what a perfect culmination for it with the opening ceremonies. And that brings us to introducing the third member of our crew, Al Kovac, no stranger to the event, 24 gold medals at the Wheelchair Games, and currently the Vice President of the Paralyzed Veterans of America. How you doing, Al?
Doing very well. Thank you very much. PVA is real proud to be a co-sponsor with this event, along with the VA. Again, if all you folks will look at wheelchairgames.va.gov and check out get more information about the games. I have to tell you, this is where I got my start, about 17, 18 years ago, 1993. And it's very inspirational to see that the tradition continues.
Right now we're seeing the parade of athletes for the opening ceremonies. All of the athletes competing in this event are coming in with others from their state. As someone who's been here before and has been in that situation, what is the feeling like as you come in during the opening ceremonies?
It's very energetic to hear the crowd supporting the veterans. It's, gosh, there's probably about 8,000 or 9,000 people here to watch the games. I think it's awesome.
The National Veterans Wheelchair Games on 4 occasions, 3 times in Long Beach and once in San Diego.
Recent years being able to webcast these events with Xable.com is the second year they've been doing that, making it games which usually aren't available to a national audience, available to people all around the nation or even the world to tune in.
So far we've seen Alaska and Arizona come in during the parade of athletes so far. More and more they're coming. We've got a lot of athletes we're going to be looking at throughout the week, a lot of different sports. Al, I wanted to ask you this, as someone who's competed in the events before, what are some of those sports that you most look forward to during the week? I know you're a little biased, but what are some of the ones you most look forward to?
Track and field and hand cycling are my favorites, basically because I got my start in track and worked my way into triathlons. However, billiards, table tennis, and some other sports like that have certainly worked their way in there. I think there's one event that needs to be some explaining. It's called slalom, but it's actually like an obstacle course. And you understand that from the time we wake up in the morning to the time we go to bed at night, it's one giant obstacle course for us. And these games are not so much about competition, but it's a lot more about introduction to sports for our newly injured guys. And getting up in the morning, just getting to the kitchen can be an obstacle.
Can you explain some of the obstacles that are in the slalom course?
I'm sorry about that?
Explain some of the obstacles that are in the slalom course.
From opening the door, closing the door, going across ladders, ropes. A lot of it is terrain. It's our wheelchairs vary from 22 inches wide to 40 inches wide. And really, you have no idea what you're going to get yourself into until you show up.
One of the great things about this event is that it teams up athletes who have been doing this for a long time, including Paralympians, with people who maybe haven't been involved in some of these sports before and probably not in a big event like this. What is that like, bringing together such a diverse amount of people into the same area, all in the same competition?
We really rely on the guys that have been around for a while to pass the torch to the new guys. The new guys have no idea what they're getting themselves into.
A lot of those new competitors are from the Spokane area, 41 athletes from Washington, and it is a national event, but it's good for people who usually wouldn't travel to compete in the national event. Some local people from Spokane coming out to compete for probably their first time.
Yeah, we've actually got 632 athletes from all over the country here today.
So you see Delaware stroll in.
On now to Florida, the Sunshine
basketball to power soccer. Well, like you were saying earlier, Ben, a lot of the less mainstream sports, things like billiards and trap shooting and air guns. We're going to be seeing a lot of that all throughout the week on Xable.com. Be sure to tune in, look for the links on the homepage, and you'll be able to find any sport you want to see on Xable.com throughout the week.
And as well on top of that, you'll be able to see some of the footage we got earlier that had a little media kickoff, which had a little play around a wheelchair basketball game, which had some of the local media members participating. You know, it was funny to see some of the female news reporters around here trying to shoot the basketball. I don't think they had any idea how much upper body strength it took. I think Stephanie Bishop from KHQ had at least 6 air balls going up there.
That's actually where we got our start, was through wheelchair basketball. That was the very first wheelchair sport. Way back in 1947, I believe.
1947, so right after the end of
the World War II. Yeah, a lot of guys surviving the war that were in wheelchairs, and sitting around drinking beer, smoking cigarettes wasn't an option, so had to do something healthy. That's really the message about these games, is introducing a healthy lifestyle to our veterans.
Now, we've seen a lot of stories so far, just early on in these games, from athletes who were disabled, who were injured, and who found sports after that. It's a great story to hear about that. Going into these games now, picking up something that maybe they've never done before, and now competing at a high level like this.
That's right. It gives someone a sense of purpose when they wake up in the morning to go do something instead of watching Geraldo.
Florida now coming in through the parade of athletes.
The next team is the team that came from all the way across the pond. Give a warm welcome to Great Britain.
He set 2 world records in discus at the U.S. National Track and Field Championships and the Paralympic team trials. He was also a member of the 2008 Paralympics in Beijing.
You know, here the Brits are just coming in right now. You know, the British have been grandfathered into these games. A lot of people don't know that this is not just for the 50 states, but we also have Puerto Rico and Great Britain represented here.
The gym stage.
There's a certain camaraderie that goes along with being a disabled veteran. It spans the Atlantic Ocean as well.
Idaho's coming in, the Washington's border. A lot of athletes from northern Idaho joining us today.
Time now to welcome Illinois, the Prairie State. Illinois is the birthplace.
One of them, Ronald Sean Halstead, is an avid skier and is trying to earn a spot in the U.S. Paralympic ski team, hoping to do the Winter Players Games in the 2010 Games in Vancouver.
We're now seeing Illinois come into the parade of athletes as well.
On to Indiana, the Hoosier State.
More and more of these athletes coming in. It's the parade of athletes during the opening ceremonies of the 2009 National Veterans Wheelchair Games. And as we've said a couple of times, over 600 athletes in this year's games. Al, what do you think has been the reason for the boom in the number of athletes that we've seen compete year after year in these games?
Well, I think people are finally getting it, that people with disabilities can actually lead a healthy lifestyle. It's no longer this apathetic, sit around and watch TV till, wait till, collect your benefits from the VA. It's actually about being productive in your life. It really gives yourself a sense of purpose when you have something to look forward to when you wake up in the morning to go. Even if you're not competitive, at least you're just getting out there and doing something.
And the event has really grown through a city like Spokane. Prepared for the event for 2 years. It's almost like a bidding process is for the Olympics. Last year's Omaha. Coming here to Spokane, got the campaign.